And the hotel in Dhahran, the International Hotel, has a very large and substantial bomb shelter. Arrangements were made for people to get down there. It's where the Joint Information Bureau is as well. In Washington right now, two students of the Middle East. One of them is Robin Wright, who has written extensively and authoritatively about that part of the world, and Ed Peck, who served in the United States Embassy in Baghdad and is a man who is very familiar with Saddam Hussein. Robin Wright, let's begin with you and pick up on this business about what's the most important thing that President Bush can do once the military strike is over.
Once it's over? Well, I think that we're going to have to wait and see three things. First of all, whether Iraq carries through with its threat to strike Israel, and to see if the scope of this war expands from being a liberation of Kuwait into a full-fledged Arab-Israeli conflict. We'll also need to see within the next 4 or 5 hours as daylight breaks in the Arab world the kind of reaction from the Arabs, not only in the Gulf, but also in countries like Jordan, Yemen, Algeria, places that have showed some sympathy for Saddam Hussein, to see if this is going to create the kind of outrage, the kind of furor that Gary referred to earlier, if this is going to be a conflict that is judged as the West against the Arabs. And I think these are the issues that President Bush has to look at as he's evaluating what happens next.
All right, Robin Wright, we're going to go to Mike Betcher on the telephone right now. We've been able to get a telephone contact through to him, much to our relief. Mike Betcher, what can you tell us about what's going on in Saudi Arabia, apart from the fact that you are able to talk to us right now?
Tom, the air raid siren is still blowing. There has been no explosion, so I assume that no missile or airplane, enemy aircraft has struck anywhere near this location. People are in the bomb shelter at the present time. I am in a safe location at a phone, calling you now with my protective gear at the ready. So we are fine at the present time. The sirens are still blowing, and everything's okay. I think everyone said a little prayer before they headed down. And so far, everything's okay, Tom.
Well, Mike, that's the best news that we've had so far this evening after that interruption, and we are...
Power went out, by the way. All power was gone. The lights went black. At that point, we gave up the ship on the roof of the hotel and headed down. And I'll stay on the phone here with you as long as I can.
All right, Mike, well, I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to let you catch your breath a little bit, and we'll catch ours as well collectively here now that we have reestablished contact with you. In Baghdad, so far as we can tell from other news agencies, the hotel has not come under attack in any fashion. We're attempting to reestablish our contact there with NBC's Tom Aspel. Reports still coming out of Baghdad. The city took a big hit on the western edge by the international airport, where we believe there was a large military installation, and Fred Francis has been able to report to us that the first wave of attacks came from Tomahawk cruise missiles. They're low and slow, but very deadly, very tough to shoot down, and very accurate. At that, they cost $1 million apiece. They're launched from ships in this case, the Tomahawk. So that's the military situation as we are able to determine it at this hour. And that is what is going on in that part of the world. Let me go back now to Washington, D.C., where Ed Peck is standing by next to Robin Wright. We introduced him earlier as a man who served in the U.S. Embassy in Baghdad, and he's with us tonight as well. Ed Peck, let's go back to the mind of Saddam Hussein. Over the weekend, when I was in Baghdad, top Iraqi officials were telling members of the UN Secretariat staff that they believe that they can take 2 waves of attacks from the United States, emerge from their bunkers, and claim victory. Is that viable?
Viable option, I suppose, that he has after he considers all the other routes that are open to him. I would tend to think that one of the things that he's going to do first when he comes out of his bunker is call on the Arab world to rise up and support him, and to call on Muslims everywhere to do the same thing. You remember back in 1967 in the Arab-Israeli war at that time, when the Egyptians accused the United States of taking a role on the Israeli side.